Oh, what's up, everybody? Gun here. Happy Thursday, October 24th, 2019. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the first full night of NBA last night. So many games, a lot of action, a lot of astronomical scores. And as we kind of figured, there was going to be a lot of mispriced guys, especially in the mid tier and low tier, that end up completely obliterating their value in terms of salary. We're gonna put two words together. That's how we do English. And yeah, we saw some crazy scores, 400 plus points, as expected on both sites. Um, I think as the weeks go by, we'll start seeing the algorithm pick up on more appropriate pricing. I also think we can look back at last night and see some perfect storms. So we're going to do our four awards as we kind of remember last night. We're going to look at the three games for tonight's docket on FanDuel and DraftKings. And we're also going to do a live stream this afternoon on Twitch, just like we did yesterday. I cannot thank you guys enough for showing up and showing out. Normally, our live streams for YouTube in the last couple seasons have been, 200, 300 viewers. I expected to take a big hit going over there, trying out a whole new world. But we sat around 50, so getting a quarter of you guys to move on day one is super humbling. I appreciate you guys. Some of you guys followed, subscribed even. I'm going to have more rewards for subscribers on Twitch, and we're going to have a lot of cool stuff to kind of grow this community a little bit more on the live side of things. So I'm so glad you guys gave it a shot. If you haven't caught up yet, maybe you're just kind of catching up to the season, or maybe you just missed it. Um, if you want to catch the live streams, they're going to be on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Gundacker99. It's on the screen. There'll be a link in the description below. If you don't have a Twitch account, man, it takes just a second to make one. You can even make it with the snap of a finger using like a Facebook account. And if you have a mobile device and you like to consume content that way, you can download the Twitch app. Really easy. You'll get push notifications when we go live, and it's just an easier way for me to be more interactive and have more fun with a stream. I can get away with more stuff on Twitch in a live fashion than I can on YouTube, as like playing music, and then of course I'll have more user intuitive features on the live stream, like polls and marble games. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So roll with us over there. It's a tough market over there for daily fantasy, but we're doing our best. So if you guys want to help support me a little bit more, just make sure you're coming along for the ride over on twitch.tv/Gundacker99. Last night, there was a man, and only one man, that earned the Beast of the Night. Guys, Andre the Giant Drummond went absolutely bananas. 41 minutes in the season opener against the Indiana Pacers. 41 minutes. He had a 30, 20, 32 points, 23 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks. He did a little bit of everything to drop 78.25 DraftKings points. 81.6 FanDuel points. FanDuel made you pay for him a little bit more than DraftKings did. He was one of my 3 tier 1 plays of the day. Absolutely crushed it. Absolutely earned the Beast of the Night honors. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum, the Bust of the Night. Man, oh man, did the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Sun game not quite go the way Vegas expected it, not quite go the way I expected it. And I took some shots there on De'Aaron Fox. Figured as a primary ball handler, a point guard in a matchup that was supposed to be the highest paced, highest scoring, tight spread game. Didn't happen, man. De'Aaron Fox muffled his way to 14 and a quarter on DraftKings at 7,700, 11.7 on FanDuel at 8,600. Got in a whole lot of foul trouble. Had 5 fouls on the night, 27 minutes of action, and then the Suns they ran away with it, man. It was a blowout, just about 30 points. Very lopsided there. Not a great debut for Luke Walton. Something I'm keeping an asterisk on. We're taking notes here in the early season as we start to gather information. Luke Walton, when he was the coach of the Lakers, tended to have some super wonky minute rotations, and there were a lot of people that saw action last night. Now, I'm not going to overreact to all the guys that got like 4 or less minutes because of the blowout. But Buddy Hield, 31 minutes. Marvin Bagley, 28 minutes. Harrison Barnes, 30 minutes. Corey Joseph, 21. Nemanja Bjelica, 21. De'Aaron Fox, 27. Dwayne Dedmon, 14. Trevor Ariza, 21. Rashawn Holmes, 17. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 22. That's like 11 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 guys that are basically getting 20 plus minutes there. So very frustrating there. Then, of course, guys like Caleb Swanigan, Yogi Ferrell, and Wenyen Gabriel had 4 or less kind of mop-up minutes. So I'm definitely going to be watching how Luke Walton manages this minute rotation going forward. At the end of last season, different management kind of spoiled us in what we might expect with the Kings. So we might be in for a shock there. So I'm not going to – we can't write it as an absolute, but it's certainly a trend that we've seen in the past with Walton, and it was something we've seen on night 1. So I might pull back on Kings early in this season until I get a little bit more concrete yay or nay. But De'Aaron Fox, man, completely let me down. It was rough. Killed a lot of beautiful lineups. Value of the night, folks. Devontae Graham was an absolute manimal. One of the greatest actual regular season value plays. And not to, some every year we see last week of the season nonsense where mid-price guys play 40 minutes because teams that are tanking or teams that are already locked in rest all their starters and they just see what they got in these young guns or what have you. Man, this one was huge, and this one was completely off of most people's radar. I think he was under 2% on both sites. The Charlotte Hornets and Chicago Bulls had themselves a shootout. It was a 1-point decision, and it was a game that put up 251 points. And Devontae Graham led the Charlotte Hornets in fantasy points in just 27 minutes. He had 23 real points, 4 boards, 8 assists. It was massive. He was a plus 14. Easily led the team in that category. Shot 7 for 9 total, and 6 for 7 from downtown. So 42.5 fantasy points at that price point was nuts. We actually saw a ton of value. If you wanted to value stack the Hornets tonight and just rotate around them, you did really well. PJ Washington also almost hit 40 fantasy points. Dwayne Bacon, 36 fantasy points. So really good value there, but Devontae Graham easily the best value of the night. And it was kind of funny because the Minnesota Timberwolves, within the hour before lock, announced that they would start Trevion Graham, and he was also kind of in the 3K area as a punt play. And I actually had people tell me that they accidentally played Devontae Graham because they just typed in Graham and instead of Trevion Graham. Not that Trevion Graham was a horrible play for his price point at 24.5, but Devontae Graham was an absolute amazing misclick today that I wish I had. So value of the night honors going to Devontae Graham, and then the shock of the night, man. Brooklyn and Minnesota sticking in the Devontae Graham breath here. Kyrie Irving making his Brooklyn Nets debut. It was a game that did see overtime. It was decided by 1 point. Kyrie showed up and showed out from a fantasy standpoint. He actually outscored Karl Anthony Towns, who could have competed to be a Beast of the Night candidate. He had 73.5 fantasy points. Kyrie had 76 on DraftKings. He had 50 real points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I don't know that he's ever come that close to a triple double with with that many points before. It was wild. He was a plus 18 on the court. Taron Prince was a plus 19, and they still lost. So let that sink in. I'm sure a lot of Nets fans are pretty salty about that. 38 minutes played with that overtime. So that kind of lets you know Kenny Atkinson was a little bit committed to his minute rotation, that this guy only got 38 minutes with OT. But man, Kyrie Irving, easily the shock of the night. Not that I didn't think he could score 50 points, but the fact that he made it with 8 boards and 7 assists. Yes, overtime was a thing. But man, this dude absolutely crushed it. I disrespected him I had him as a tier 3 option for my lineups today. And he did his thing, man. So I don't know that I'm gonna be quick to chase the points in the next game, just because I still think a lot went right here. Maybe that perfect storm of matchup and overtime and what have you. Do we really believe that Kyrie Irving is going to be an 8 rebound a night kind of guy? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we need more information like that. But I think historically we got to believe no, right? So shock of the night, Kyrie Irving, man. Who who are some shocks that you guys want to give some love to? Leave some comments, some shocks, some values. Your bust of the night. I could have easily went on a rant about Bogdanovich. I had lineups on DraftKings scoring well over 330 fantasy points with Bogdan, who forever was sitting on 0. But again, can kind of go back to the Luke Walton minute rotation thing. So last night was absolutely wild. Tonight should be a lot more tame, as there's only 3 games on the slate. So we get a 2-gamer, 11-gamer, now a 3-gamer, and tomorrow night it's going to open back up. But tonight's a nice reprieve after the opening day festivities, and then of course we do have some NFL football tonight as well. If you guys are into that sort of thing, if you guys want to hang out with me before lock, or grind this all day with a lot of like-minded, sharp individuals looking to make their lineups, make sure you guys are locked into the VIP section at rundfs.com. This is the last week. It was really a 1-week promotion to get the MVP package to lock in until the end of NBA season in June for $350. That's a huge value considering that the month passes right now are at $100 a month. $350 for eight months is kind of just like an amazing value in that regard. So that'll get you daily access to the spreadsheets, 24/7 Discord access, and then daily pre-lock voice chats for the 2 hours before lock. And we're basically going 7 days a week right now, with football on Sundays and Saturday nights. So come be part of the family, come be part of the crew, man. We'd love to have you tonight on FanDuel and DraftKings. 3 games. They're all pretty well spaced apart. A 7 p.m. game, an 8 p.m. game, and a 10:30 p.m. game. So it's not going to be as overwhelming before lock like yesterday kind of got. There was a lot of news, a lot of lineups coming out together. And again, this early in the season, we're not completely sold on who's starting, who's not. There was a couple of curveballs that were thrown at me yesterday with starting lineups. I didn't expect Travion Graham to start. I didn't expect Enes Kanter to start. I didn't expect Alonzo Trier to start. It was just a lot of curveballs. Not that those were crazy range of outcomes. It was just stuff that I wasn't ready. Not that I wasn't ready for. I just had other guys projected to start. So tonight should be much easier to process, and a little bit more focus can be done on the actual plays, and then we don't have to raise our hands too much. 3 games on the slate. First game, Atlanta Hawks at the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons are in a unique position. They're the first team playing a back-to-back. This is night 2 for them. Trae Young, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Alex Len up against Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown, Tony Snell, Markieff Morris, and Andre the Giant Drummond. Markieff Morris, by the way, yesterday, 17 or so fantasy points. Was really hot first half and kind of fizzled off, and then we saw some Christian Wood, some Thon Maker. Andre Drummond at 8,300 on DraftKings. He really did not move in price. He really didn't. And this is just a no-brainer. Hate to be a super chalky guy, but how do you without Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond in this matchup could get you 40 fantasy points at almost half. The Atlanta Hawks last season were the fastest paced team, which is going to create a lot of shot opportunities, a lot of rebound opportunities. They're pretty undersized, all things considered. Probably going to get some blocks, some steals. We know Trae Young can turn the ball over. I think he had the second or third most turnovers on the season last year. And I think he might have had the highest turnover percentage last year. So plenty of still potential here for Andre Drummond. 8,300. You just don't see him missing the 40 fantasy point mark at all. And then, of course, easily a 50 spot. We don't need to replicate last night's 70-80 bomb, but this is a matchup that is such a high floor. Yes, it's a back-to-back, and we can start overthinking it and start wondering if he's a fade because of how high owned he'll be today. But I don't think I'm going to be that cute here on night 2 of the NBA season. What I will say is that a couple of these names on the Pistons lineup make me wonder about their effectiveness on night 2. And I think most notably, Derrick Rose, kind of a guy that we've seen deal with injury problems in the past, and kind of a guy that we can maybe expect to be babied in situations like this on night 2 of a back-to-back. So I'll be kind of like thinking about that, maybe looking for beat writer notes on that all day. At this point, it's pure speculation, but it certainly seems like a range of outcome here. And if he were to maybe sit out this leg of a back-to-back, I do think that would raise my interest in a guy like Reggie Jackson. I do like guards against the Atlanta Hawks. In this case, Reggie would elevate higher up because he does have a higher usage rate without Blake Griffin. And then, of course, Luke Kennard, who had a massive game last night, will probably float to the top again, and he's probably already going to be one of the higher-owned players on the slate. And then if Derrick Rose is out, maybe, just maybe, in large field tournaments, like 100K to first, massive fields, maybe a Langston Galloway, but that would definitely be on the heels of at least one of those cats being out. So Markieff Morris, you can run that back and hope for the best, and so on and so forth. I think Pistons are pretty straightforward. You can take chances on a lot just because it's the Atlanta Hawks here. The Hawks side, it's a little bit trickier. The Indiana Pacers ended up being a pretty solid team stack. Sabonis did great. Malcolm Brogdon slow burned in the first quarter, but he definitely popped off and got there. I think Miles Turner was a fine play as well. So that kind of reminds me of a game in the preseason with the Magic, and Aaron Gordon was popping off in his minutes against the Pistons. So I'm starting to wonder if the Pistons might be attackable here. As Drummond does his thing, could we get away with some John Collins here, who might be a little bit more hard to get in the 7K area because, a little bit of foreshadowing. This is going to be a slate that features Giannis Antetokounmpo, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard. There's a lot of studs here that maybe some Hawks players really do float under the radar despite being the first game after lock. So maybe a guy like John Collins kind of floats in there. If we go look at the preseason, John Collins was pretty much second on the active roster in usage per minute at 23%. Trae Young leading everyone at 30%. And then behind him, guys like Jabari Parker, Cam Reddish, stuff like that. So we know the upside on John Collins can be a point per minute guy. Almost averaged a double-double last season, almost a 20 and 10 really. And I think in this matchup, he might be a 40 fantasy point shot. That really goes low owned just because of how many people will try to go studs and scrubs with all of the studs on the slate. So might be a little contrarian to take a shot on him. The same line of thought there for Alex Len, although Alex Len definitely feels a little bit more risky just because you have to sacrifice a center position. You can't get away with him at the forward spot or something like that. With John Collins, you can play him at power forward. You got a lot of flexibility. Punting centers is a lot harder. So you want to take raw points here with a guy like Andre Drummond. It's hard to say that, all right, I want to buy in on Len, but Len can certainly be a point per minute candidate. DeAndre Hunter, a little bit interesting here. He's a 4K player. There's not a whole lot of obvious value on the slate sticking out to me right now. So if I'm looking for 4K or less guys that might get minutes in a game, that maybe scores a little bit more than we might expect. 220 is a fine total to maybe kind of attack a wing guy here. Same with Evan Turner. I don't know that we can bank on his minutes being super crazy here, but I do feel like Evan Turner has an outside chance. Um, Maybe not even an outside chance, just like a chance to be a point guard here on the second unit. And at 3,100, I mean, we're talking really, really cheap, almost bare bones man on DraftKings. Could he fall into 15 to 20, which could be the keys in the bridge to get you some more of those studs there. So a lot of interesting ways to kind of spin this here. In the preseason, I don't even have stats on it. Did Turner, I guess Turner maybe didn't log any preseason minutes. Let me see. Evan Turner in his DraftKings log. Turner 2 points and 1 rebound, 1 assist in 9 minutes during loss to the Heat. I think he made his first appearance in preseason. He had been dealing with left Achilles soreness, likely serve as the de facto backup point guard. So I have him as a soft projection here on 16 minutes. But if all signs point to him to being the for sure backup guard, especially with like guys like Allen Crabbe and Parsons out, I think I could sell myself on some Evan Turner being a value play, even if he's just like a risky value, a tier 3 type of situation here. Do have Q tags on Trae Young and on John Collins. I don't think there's going to be much to worry about. But just to kind of get you guys an update from beat writers here, let me pull up NBA depth chart and just kind of get what the actual status on these guys are, what the Q tags are about. I guess they removed them, so I think they're fine. Cam Reddish is dealing with a hip injury, but he's expected to start. Kevin Huerter, of course, will be off the bench in this one. He's a guy that we saw suck up a lot of minutes last season. And then, of course, Crabbe's going to be out. Parsons going to be out. And John Collins is good to go. Lloyd Pierce, for what it's worth, said that he wants John Collins to be more of a playmaker this season, and that he wants to find more ways to get him and Trae Young's the duo to kind of hit that pick and roll a little bit more. So definitely like that combo here. I'm very curious to see how the Hawks line up in terms of ownership, just because of the studs on the slate. Do they get ignored? I definitely think that's possible. Like I said, the Pacers really kind of all overperformed their individual price points and did well in this matchup. So I'm not too concerned about exposure to the Hawks there. And I think it could be a fun tournament play. Jabari Parker also a point per minute guy at 3,800 that I could put in my back pocket. Gonna have to tighten the screws on all these 3K guys tomorrow. But individually, we know Parker can be point per minute plus. We know Evan Turner can deliver. He's a veteran. And the price, it's all about finding the value today because there's so many studs. So I'm just kind of spitballing, thinking out loud here on the first look. Next game, the Houston Rockets hosting the Milwaukee Bucks. 231.5 is our total for this one. 2-point spread. This is potentially your NBA Finals preview. Milwaukee Bucks and maybe the Sixers are the two teams I have competing for the East, and then the Rockets are in the mix of 80 teams in the West that are looking really, really good here. So really curious to see how these two teams come out against heavyweights on night one. Bledsoe, Wesley Matthews, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez taking on Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and Clint Capella. If you guys opened up your DraftKings app, you might have had to blink twice, do a double take at the prices on Westbrook and James Harden. I don't know that I've ever seen Westbrook under 9K, under 10K for that matter, and then James Harden under 10K. And I know a lot of people have been really, 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 let's say, pessimistic on these two guys' ability to remain powerhouse players at the levels that they were. But I'm not that worried, and you make them both under 10K. I don't mind throwing them together. Forever I happily played the combos of Paul George and Westbrook and Westbrook and Kevin Durant. So I don't mind putting these two together in the preseason. Both players sustained over 30% usage rate. 30% is kind of my sweet spot here. 100 minutes for Westbrook, 173 minutes for Harden. So I'm absolutely not hesitant to play either one of them or both of them. They'll both be in my player pool for sure at these prices. We're talking less than 20K for potentially 100 fantasy points. Milwaukee Bucks, we know they push the pace. They do play good defense individually, but because of so many possessions and guys like Harden are really matchup proof anyway, I'll take it. If you can get Giannis Antetokounmpo to run it back, 10.3K, he's a triple-double waiting to happen as well. Could we get 3 triple-doubles in the same game? Probably not. But we got 3 candidates for it. He's another guy that could logistically be the highest scorer on the slate. I think if you really start looking at ownership projections and get really creative and maybe Drummond fade lines, punting centers, yeah, Giannis kind of floats to the top as one of the highest raw projected scorers on the slate. And I think in my initial projection run, yeah, I had Giannis as almost 60 fantasy points. But all that will kind of shake out tomorrow as we start tightening the screws a little bit. This should be a back and forth game. Wesley Matthews kind of floats to the top here as a value play that I think will become pretty trendy. Maybe should he crack the starting lineup, and he should at 3,500. Catching some James Harden defense. You just really, really, really need to pinch pennies, and he seems like the most obvious guy to do so. Wesley Matthews on StatMuse here. So Wesley Matthews DKP by game log versus Rockets. Actually, we'll just put James Harden, right? James Harden, last 10 games. So we're going to look at some of his Mavericks games. I don't know if a Blazer game will sneak in there, but his last performance against the Rockets, 30 fantasy points, 21 real points. And that's about what you expect from him to hit some threes. And that's what the Milwaukee Bucks do, man. They stretch the court and they shoot threes, shoot amongst the most threes in the league. And we know that's Mike D'Antoni's whole offense is to chuck threes. So if Wesley Matthews is going to hit, you don't need him to hit too many at that price point. Like I said, I do kind of anticipate him trending upward for value. If Malcolm Brogdon was 3,500, you'd be playing him. So if it's a 1-for-1 here, I'll take plenty of shots on Wesley. My only reservation here is that he's probably going to be pretty trendy. Other shooters in this game for complete punts, Ersan Ilyasova is 3,200, Pat Connaughton's 3,200, Kyle Korver's 3,200. I mean, these are all super stretch Armstrong reaches for tournaments. But if you're trying to bag 100K tonight, these are the kind of guys you have to have light exposure to, and you rotate your big studs around it. Sometimes I like to latch onto the core value plays and rotate studs around it. This one kind of feels like a night where I need to latch on to studs and rotate value plays around it. Supplementary secondary plays for both teams here. Eric Gordon, 4,300, man, he definitely doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies, but this is a guy that we've seen float over 5 to 6K. I think his job here is just to be a spot up shooter. Probably same with PJ Tucker. Tucker's probably going to be tasked with the attempt to try and guard Giannis Antetokounmpo, so I don't expect him to have to do much offensively. Clint Capella is a little bit more intriguing to me. Should be able to win the rebound battle against Brook, but this Bucks team was really good at getting offensive rebounds. But at 7,500, I think in deep tournaments you ask yourself how many times a fresh leg Clint Capella on national TV outscores a guy who played 40 minutes last night on a back-to-back, traveling from Indy to Detroit, and Andre Drummond. On the surface we say no way, man. But in reality, there is probably a range of outcome for tournaments, at least, that Capella outscores Drummond. Drummond gets in foul trouble, whatever it is. So Capella could be a unique leverage play in tournaments if you wanted to shave off $800 from Drummond to Capella. But it's really hard not to be all over some Drummond here. But Capella, I definitely don't mind to kind of thrive in this pace. I have Nene listed as out, so his backup would be Tyson Chandler at this venture. And I think Capella probably, like if PJ Tucker gets in foul trouble, I think they still try and kind of keep Capella out there just for some size, because we know Middleton and Giannis get a little lengthy With that said, Capella is very hack happy. Could probably get in a lot of foul trouble, um, and that's a risk that we're willing to take. Middleton's almost 7K. That's a really hard price to love, especially on this slate. If we're talking a plus minus of what 500, let's say 5 to 600 fantasy dollars, 6,900 for Middleton. Draymond is $200 more. Lou Williams is a little cheaper. Montrezl Harrell way cheaper. John Collins is $400 more. Definitely feels like Chris Middleton would be the least favorite for me out of all those guys. Points per dollar and potentially floor. So again, in tournaments, maybe that makes him as a interesting leverage play, but not on my short list here. And then Bledsoe 6,300. This will probably be a play that just is in my face and explodes, but I don't tend to roster Bledsoe too much. So yeah, man, get some studs here. Maybe find some value on the Bucks here. Wesley Matthews, I think, is the guy I'm looking for. Just out of curiosity, if we go check out the just the preseason numbers on the Bucks. The Bucks did have kind of a weird preseason where they had some staggered rest and whatnot. Chris Middleton 27% usage, Giannis 38%. Wesley at 19%. We don't expect him to be a high usage guy, but how about 3-point attempts? Shot. This is percentage. I don't want percentage. I want traditional. Just out of curiosity, see how. And advanced filters, custom. By the way, if you guys haven't used this site, if you're just kind of curious to catch up on preseason stuff, this site and Real GM are kind of the two that I've been digging the most. But this one seems to be like the easiest and fastest to navigate. Milwaukee. The Bucks have a different. Anyway. Wesley. Alright, we're just going to go page by page here because I can't seem to find. For some reason, I can't get. It won't let me type in the value like it was on the other page. And I definitely don't see MIL. Am I tripping? I guess I'm tripping. Anyway, I don't want to stall too much here, but Wesley Matthews has a good chance to shoot 8 to 12 shots here, and probably greater than half of those will be from downtown. So we're just banking on them sinking a couple shots here. Main event tonight, second game of your TNT doubleheader. Golden State Warriors hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. Patrick Beverley, Landry Shamet, Kawhi Leonard, Patrick Patterson. Maybe he was kind of a curveball in the lineup on opening night. Didn't really last long. Jermichael Green came in, did get in foul trouble. But I do think there's a definite possibility Patrick Patterson doesn't actually start this game. Just rolling over the last starting lineup. Ivica Zubac up against Steph Curry, D. Russ, Glenn Robinson III, Draymond Green, and Kevin Looney. 225.5 is our total here, 2-point spread. So you guys kind of see what I'm saying here. Every game kind of features, and maybe Suns the first game, but we have so many studs for a 3-game slate. Just like household names, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Harden, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, Westbrook. And we're talking MVP caliber players all on one 3-game slate. And it's not as large of a slate as last night to offer us a really vast table and steady diet of logistical value plays. So this is why I kind of say I kind of want to latch on to some of these guys and just see if I can get away with taking some shots on these 3K guys. Clippers, the front runners for me, Kawhi Leonard, obviously 9,100. Loved him in opening night against Los Angeles. Should love him again here. Should lead the team in probably minutes and usage. Against Golden State, who I don't expect to be really effective defensively. Maybe they try and put some Robinson or some Draymond on him here and there. But Steph Curry and D. Russ, that looks like a backcourt that I'm going to attack. And Kawhi Leonard would be one guy I do it with. The other guy I do it with is Lou Williams, 6,700. I just feel like without Paul George, if Curry and D. Russ kind of keep the score close, this is the guy I want. He scored 21.5 in opening night. but he took 20. Wait, that is an opening night. What the heck? He scored more than 21, by the way. I think he scored me closer to 30. Let me pull up that actual game using DK Live. Yo, I was about to really say he took 21 shots. That was a thing I was getting ready for. Opening night. Lou Williams, yeah, he dropped almost 40 fantasy points, 37 minutes played, and shot 14 times, 1 for 4. So really got there and really kind of put some peripherals up, rebounds and 7 assists here. Wasn't really scoring dependent like he kind of has the notoriety or the maybe the mythological label of being. So 6,700 for Louisville, yeah, absolutely. I'll play that. I think points per dollar, he's probably one of the most underpriced players on the slate, considering the total, the game script, and his probable usage and necessity here without Paul George. Don't expect Patrick Beverley to pick up scoring. Landry Shamet hit or miss, and then the front court gets a little weird, right? So Lou Williams I like a lot. And then Montrezl Harrell, certainly someone I will play faithfully this season. 34 fantasy points on opening night, 38 minutes. Your minute leaders in that game, Lou Will, Kawhi, Montrezl Harrell, and then maybe some Mo Harkless as a candidate for value. He is almost 5K on FanDuel, and he's 4K on DraftKings. So might be a guy that we put in our pocket to kind of eat up some minutes here and do a little bit of everything like he did in that first game. 10 points, 4 boards, 5 personal fouls, but he had a lot of defensive stats. 2 steals and 2 blocks and 4 steals, which is massive for FanDuel. That alone is like dang near 18 points. That's wild. That's definitely something we're not gonna chase. A lot of defensive stats, but for value, certainly sticks out, right? And then we talk about Steph Curry versus D-Russ here. Who do we prefer points per dollar? Do we think both of them get there? Do we think Kawhi Leonard shuts one of them down? I definitely wasn't running to play LeBron James on opening night. I think he was on pace to do well early on, and then they just kind of fizzled out, and Anthony Davis did what he did, and the game just kind of got away from it. But LeBron James, 46 fantasy points. Had a double-double, but it was just like a mad double-double. These are guys in D-Russ and Steph Curry that are going to need closer to 30 real points to really become a impact player from a fantasy standpoint. So I'm curious to see where you guys are at on one or the other, or we probably just roll lines with one or the other, right? Like if you're running 20 lineups, how much exposure do you have in total? And then how many of those lines would you have both of them in? Because it does feel like Kawhi would kind of neutralize one. And then maybe you're looking at the more expensive guy in Curry. So I think that's the question of the night, man. It's just what to do with Steph and D-Russ, because Steph Curry at 9,400, I mean, in a 1v1, you're probably getting the $300 to play James Harden and go a little cheaper for Westbrook. In that same breath, if that game stays close, Steph Curry probably did it. Steph Curry was absolutely insane in the preseason. Points per game, points per minute. So I'm not, he's a pure scorer. So that's gonna be something we think about today, and we'll probably have a lot of colorful debate on that on the Twitch stream this afternoon. So let me know what you guys are thinking there. Same with D-Russ. Draymond, I think, is a more safer floor play here. Now without KD, I think he's the scrapper. I think he's going to start really pulling out some really nice stat lines, stuff in the stat sheet, and he's going to give us a high floor and peripherals. And then it's just a matter of what kind of points he puts up to put on top of those peripherals. Last season, he only averaged 7 real points per game. That's on a team with Clay, on a team with KD. And at times DeMarcus Cousins, right? So give me those near 7 assists a game, 1.5 steals a game, 7 rebounds a game. Can we push those up a little bit? Maybe 8.5 assists a game, 9.5 rebounds, maybe even 9 assists per game. Who knows? And then can we get 10 to 15 real points? I definitely think it's a range of outcomes that I'm willing to bet is probable. So I don't mind some 7100 Draymond, but again, in the forward area, Draymond not too far from John Collins, who I'm kind of preferring just in a 1v1, essentially at a $200 discrepancy. So, Warriors, man, a lot of question marks with Warriors for me at first look. So let me know what you guys are thinking. Tweet at me, leave comments below, and then we'll revisit it this afternoon on Twitch. So don't forget, yesterday we did the Twitch stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. Today we're going to do it at 4 p.m. Eastern, just because there's only 3 games to talk about. We don't have to break down 11 games. So 4 p.m. Eastern, right? Yeah, 3 p.m. Central. So we'll chat that up. We'll talk about all the games a little bit more in depth. Maybe we have some more news to open up some value, and maybe some of these Q tags get cleared up, and maybe even some news on guys like Derrick Rose or something happen. So please join me this afternoon on Twitch. If you don't have a Twitch account, go get one, man. Get set up. In the coming weeks, I'm growing that channel and growing the tools and whatnot that we can do for the live streams. And we're going to have so much fun this season. So I'm excited. We're making sure we got all the kinks, all the wrinkles rolled out. We're going to have a new exclusive free Discord that you guys can join. And all of the Twitch subs will have a special chat in there that I'll be paying special attention to. So please, please, please get on over to the Twitch Mobile. That's our first look at today's 3-game slate. If you guys got anything else for me, you see it on the screen, twitch.tv/Gundecker Sports. Come join me and get into the premium Discord with a VIP pass at rundfs.com. Would love to have you. We got football tonight, we got basketball tonight, and then tomorrow we're jumping all the way back in it with another big NBA slate. So lots of fun to be had, man. And then we'll have a lot of showdowns today too. So while I won't maybe officially cover showdowns for VIP, I'll definitely play it and brainstorm with chat. Because we got Milwaukee at Houston and Clippers at Golden State, man. You get 2 hours, you get to watch. Oh man, we're gonna have some fun. You get to watch basketball, make some showdowns, watch more basketball. Oh, I'm gonna have a blast. If you guys want to help me out, hit that thumbs up on the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the notifications bell. Let you know when new content comes up. I love each and every one of you. And I will see you in the next video. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.